Welcome to PTSD, Bunker Gear for your brain. I'm your host, Carl Waggett, and welcome to the evening PTSD report. Guys, happy Wednesday to each and every one of you. I do hope the week finds you well. Well, look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the intro tonight, because, guys, I'm really excited about tonight's show, and I know I say that a lot, but, guys, I really think that tonight's show, well, it can actually help you. Not saying that the other shows I do are complete bullshit, but the fact is that what we're going to talk about tonight, guys, it can mathematically help you. You guys ready to start? Shall we? Okay, let's continue. So guys, what we're looking at this week is, well, we're taking a look at people that don't have access to a doctor. Because this is a son of a bitch. Look, I know people can say, oh, you need to go ask help from a doctor, get help from a doctor. And guys, I'm the first one to say, if you're looking down the barrel of this PTSD, depression, and anxiety, you should have a doctor or a therapist on your side. But guys, as we looked at in the last episode, look, there was three examples there of why people don't get doctors. Because guys, look, we live in reality, right? So unfortunately, guys, we have to deal with the reality of the situation. And the first one we looked at was, look, if you don't have coverage at work, to have a psychologist or a therapist, guys, it's a lot of money, right? So unfortunately, money keeps people away from help. I know nobody wants to talk about that, but that's the reality of it. The next reason we looked at was, well, just geographically. Let's say you don't live around a doctor or a therapist that deals with PTSD, depression, or anxiety, right? Or, guys, let's stare down the barrel of this. Let's say you have isolation to the point where you don't even like going out for groceries. Never mind driving to another city and talking to a stranger about your problems. Look, the doctor might as well be on Mars. That individual is never going to go to the doctor. So that's another problem. And guys, the third problem, I hate to bring this sexy bastard in, but stigma. Oh, it's a son of a bitch. I'll tell you what, it definitely gets between good people and information. And the example that we looked at in the podcast on Monday was, look, bottom line, if you're going for a promotion, look, you don't want to have any problems. So people that are going for promotion sometimes won't ask for help. Or guys, let's forget about promotion. Guys, just good old-fashioned integrity. Yeah, seriously. Look, you can work in an office and not trust the person in the cubicle next to you. And it's really no big deal. But trust me, if you don't trust the guy that's next to you on a fire department, if you don't trust the guy next to you on the fire truck, trust me, you've got problems. Really, I couldn't even get that out. So there's a lot of people out there that won't go for help with a doctor just because they don't want to take the stink eye from all the people they work with. And guys, look, this is a real problem. So look, I wanted to do a week on this. Not saying that anything I'm saying is superseding getting help from a doctor or a therapist, but look, just because you're not diagnosed with something doesn't mean you don't suffer from it. You know what I mean? So look, I wanted to kind of put some stuff together here that can then actually really help, right? Now, I'm not talking about writing letters to yourself and then mailing it and then getting it back, opening it up and getting a warm fuzzy. No, I'm talking about something that you can actually implement into a war plan. Yeah, something that can absolutely up your odds. Okay, so look, before we start, I've got one very, very simple question for you. Now, as an adult, how is your energy level? Usually most people, energy level, not good at all. And you'll find that with a lot of people. Well, let's put it this way. It's rare if you find somebody who has an extreme amount of energy all the time, right? A lot of people live nowadays and they don't have energy anymore. And you know what's really weird about our society in North America is, guys, we are forever eating. Hey, you want to play a fun game with the kids? Next time you're watching TV, just count how many food commercials there are. You'll be amazed when you watch that. But even though we are constantly eating food, for some strange reason, we're always lacking energy, aren't we? Yeah, it's a very strange combination. But I think we all understand it, guys. I don't want to take you back to grade 2 health class here. But if you're going to eat food that's going to give you energy, well, we're going to have to eat different food, aren't we? And you want to know why we don't eat that food that gives us energy? Well, because it sucks. Yeah, no. Like, I'm honestly, who wants to eat broccoli and celery and leafy greens and all that shit? Well, not I, right? Well, guys, I'm here to tell you that I learned very, very quickly that if you don't eat good food and you don't have energy, you can't fight. You know, this was something that I realized later on in the battle, and, it never occurred to me. Not for a second. I sometimes think that we as humans get so complicated and we get so futuristic and so ahead of ourselves that we tend to forget some of the most basic shit from time to time, like feeding ourselves. Yeah, really. When you think about it, a human being is really no different than a car, right? You take an absolute gorgeous vehicle, let's say a Ferrari 308. Look, I'm sorry, ever since I saw Magnum as a little boy, I can't like any other car. Hey, did you know they have a reboot of Magnum? What a sin. I'll tell you, Tom Selleck must be sat at home laughing his ass off watching that. No disrespect to the actor that plays Magnum PI in that, but come on. Tom Selleck is Tom Selleck. Anyways, I'm getting off track here. But the fact is that, look, you can have a Ferrari 308 and it can look absolutely gorgeous, but if there's no gas in it, it ain't going nowhere. And it doesn't matter how much you yell at it to go, it ain't moving. Well, guys, look, this is something that I learned in real time and something that I really want to share with you guys. Because, guys, when you understand the power of this energy, you can really up your odds. It's quite substantial. So, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to look at my little journey here. And, guys, we're not even going to look at the mental stuff that I went through or the physical. Guys, I just want to show you what happens when a human being doesn't have any energy. Yeah, this is what happened. Okay, so look, I'm going to take it back to the time that when I first went off work. Okay, and the reason why I keep going back to this, because, guys, this was a really, really weird time. Like, I didn't know if I was going back to work. I didn't know that I don't know why I was off. I remember going into the doctor's office and them saying, okay, well, look, we're going to take you off work for a month. And I was like, okay. So they said, well, look, just go home and, just kind of try to enjoy yourself. I was like, all right, I'll just go home. Well, anyways, when I was sat at home, when you're completely out of routine like that and you don't know what's going on, the thing is that you realize very, very quickly that the world still turns while you're off work. And everybody went on with their lives and their days, and my days were spent here. So, needless to say, there were some pretty long days spent in this house. Yeah, I really didn't have a clue what to do. So I don't know if you guys are anything like this, but when I'm bored, well, I have a tendency to eat, don't I? Yeah, so I was like, screw it, I might as well eat. And you know what? From the little tiny amount of research I was doing on the internet at the time, because guys, look, in the first 3 months, I really didn't believe this whole PTSD, depression, anxiety, but everything I read on the internet was, well, you know what? You need to start having fun. Yes. And I thought, well, I can get behind that. Sure. All right. Well, I don't really feel like going outside. I don't really feel like doing anything, but I'll eat. Oh, and did I eat? It was glorious. I ate whatever the hell I wanted. It didn't matter. Like, okay, we pay attention to what we eat. I didn't give a shit. It was disgusting. I drink 8 cans of Coke in a day. Do you realize one time I ate 4 Mars bars in one sitting? It's disgusting. I didn't even want the last one. I just did it so I could tell a story. I'm serious. The food that I was eating was just revolting. But I thought, you know what? My life's a bag of shit, so I might as well enjoy what I eat. So this is what I did. I just kept feeding myself with just fun food, right? I thought I'll be a 12-year-old again. Who gives a shit? Well, look, let me ask you something. What happens to a human body when you feed it like that for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 months? What do you think? That's right. You gain weight. There's no way around it. But here's the really interesting thing that I found, okay? Even though I gained weight, my energy level plummeted. Yeah. Like nothing I'd ever seen before. Like, I didn't even have the energy to fart. I had absolutely no energy whatsoever, but I was still constantly eating all this shitty food. Okay, so look, after a while, I kind of looking at this, I thought, well, okay, look, this makes sense. All right? God, all I've been eating is synthetic food. Like, for lack of a better term, it's all manufactured. I remember thinking, God, you fat bastard, eat a vegetable. But no, I wasn't. I was just eating sweet food and drinking Coke. Every 12-year-old's dream, right? Well, you know what? Over that span of a month, 2 months, 2.5 months, well, yeah, I put on 20 pounds, didn't I? Hey, that's nothing for Wags. Look, if I don't watch what I eat or work out, you can actually hear me growing. It's revolting. I'm serious. It's like a race all the time. So, look, I packed on these 20 pounds without any problem whatsoever. Now, look, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's forget about the PTSD, depression, anxiety. Let's just park that for a second. How do you think I felt physically after that kind of diet? Pretty shitty. Yeah, it was disgusting. Honest to goodness. Now, the interesting thing I found about food was, okay, yeah, I ate it and it made me happy, but the problem is that the more I ate of it, the shittier I felt. It was this really, really weird circle. You know, like Fat Bastard on Austin Powers. The more I eat, the sadder I get, and the sadder I get, the more I eat. You know how that weird vicious circle thing. Well, guys, this is exactly what I found I was caught in, right? And the more of this shitty food that I ate to kind of get up and get going, well, it just made me shittier. It just made me feel shittier and shittier. So, look, after about 2.5 months, I started to realize that this PTSD thing was real. Yeah, and I got a confession to make. Look, the first month I was talking to Dr. Story, I tried to listen to everything I could, but half the time I was in there going, I can't believe I'm in a psychologist's office. Like, is this what my life has come to? And, so the first month I tried to listen, but I didn't hear that much. By the second month, I was starting to get an understanding of how PTSD, depression, anxiety, attacks your brain. And I'll tell you what, by the third month, I had a pretty good understanding of what was going on. I understood by that point I was actually in a fight. Yeah, I remember coming to the realization that this PTSD, depression, anxiety has fuck all to do with feelings. And I remember actually getting quite upset at people that was all this feelings talk because, look, this thing was attacking me. Like, I understood this. I started to understand why suicide was such a probable cause or a probable reality for people because this thing just grinds you down slowly. So the problem is when I started to realize I was in a fight, I was in a fight. All right. God, I've been a scrap in a while. This will be fun. Bring me my fighting hat. Let's get into a scrap. This will be awesome. But what I realized is that I didn't have any energy. Yeah, it was such a strange sensation because I knew I was in trouble, but I didn't have the energy to get it going. It was at this exact moment that I realized that when you're dealing with any kind of mental health whatsoever, energy is your number one currency. Because look, when you have depression or anxiety or PTSD, you don't feel like doing anything anyways. All right? So it's almost like a double smack in the mouth when you don't even have the energy to do it. Right? That's almost impossible to get going. But at least if you can fuel your body with energy, well, at least you can supersede your mind a little bit. You start to understand how this works. Because, guys, the question I pose is, how the hell can you fight something when you don't even have the energy to explain it? I remember the number of people who used to ask me, so like, Carl, what's wrong? And I used to just go, nothing. You want to know why I'd say that? Because I didn't have the energy to explain it. Yeah, like you need energy this much to fight this. But the problem is I didn't even think of this. And guys, as much as this breaks my heart to tell you this, because I love a moment of motivation, guys, willpower won't win you this fight. It won't. I'm sorry. Because, look, you need something that is going to last indefinitely. Willpower will get you going. Absolutely. It'll fuel the energy. It'll stoke you up. But the problem is, no different than a vehicle, if there is no energy, there's no fuel, it doesn't matter how much willpower you have. Your body will shut you down. And this is what I found. And this was a very, very scary situation to be in. Right? Because the thing is when you realize that you're in trouble, well, like I said, I was 20 pounds overweight at the time, right? So you know what? You know how difficult it is to work out and then put another 20 pounds on top of it and then not to have any energy whatsoever? Guys, that's a tough road to fight. But the problem is look, I didn't see this. I didn't understand this. I just thought that, well, you know what, I'll get some willpower and get going here, never thinking that my diet was going to make any difference whatsoever. Okay, so look, check this out. This is the part that I really want you to kind of understand. Because look, when I understood that I was in this problem, okay, that look, I didn't physically have the energy to do it, well, I knew I had to start fueling myself, right? Okay, so look, I got to cut out the sugar, the refined sugar, not totally cut it out, but you know what? I got to, God, I got to have a vegetable. I got to eat something that my body can actually turn into energy so I can start shaving this 20 pounds off me or whatever, right? Well, the problem that I found is every time I had a meal in front of me, I didn't feel like eating. Now, look, I know this can be a little bit confusing because, look, I've just talked about how I constantly was eating, but you know what? I'm grabbing a handful of chocolate-covered almonds, and I'm drinking Coke, and I'm having a bag of chips, and, all that really, really fun stuff. But whenever I went to sit down to actually eat a meal, I was like, I'm not feeling this, right? I don't really want to eat. So the thing is, with this kept happening, I couldn't figure out how to fix it, right? Because bottom line, I knew I needed the energy to start working because this PTSD, depression, anxiety was actually devouring me slowly, right? And wanting to get this fight going, but not knowing how to eat or why I didn't want to eat. Guys, this was more than confusing. So obviously what I did was I took this to Dr. Story. Look, this is what I had to do. And guys, this is why I always say that you've got to have a doctor on your side because it's these kind of problems that you bring to the doctor. Look, if you think you're going to go in there and talk to a psychologist and just talk about bad stories all the time, no, are you kidding me? You know what? You and your doctor have the same kind of relationship as a PGA Tour player and a caddy. Look, you're two people working towards a common goal. So you know what? These doctors, you can bring these problems to them. So look, here was a prime example. I sit down with Dr. Story. I say, look, I understand this PTSD thing is real. And she looks at me and she goes, well, thank you. I'm glad you figured that out. Very insulting. But the fact is that that's the only way I could actually get it out. I go, look, I understand this is real, but the thing is, Doc, I don't have any energy. Okay? I have zero energy, but the worst part is I don't have any appetite either. Okay, so it's not even like I can consume food. And this is when Dr. Story really explained depression to me. And this is why I want to explain this to you guys, because, guys, I always thought depression was a happy or sad thing. And you'll hear people say all the time, well, I don't have depression. I laugh all the time. Some of the greatest comedians out there suffer from depression. What you have to understand is depression is not a happy or sad thing. What depression is it takes away the stuff that you enjoy doing. Now, when you think about it, that's depressing, right? Look, let me give you an example. We all have something that we do to blow steam off. Okay, look, if you've had a rough day, maybe some people go and work out, right? Maybe some people go to the gun range and fire a few rounds off. Maybe somebody goes and jumps on their push bike, goes for a ride. It doesn't matter. Woodworking, gardening, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the fact is, everybody has, that one thing that kind of, helps them to unwind, if you will. Well, what depression does is takes that. Yeah, think about that for a second. Think about your go-to thing that you really enjoy doing. You go to do it and it's like, ugh. It's like you've never enjoyed it before in your life. And guys, this is why depression is as dangerous as it is, because it's not a sad thing. It takes away all the joy from a person. So when you take that away from a person, look, I don't care how tough or strong you are. The problem is you start uttering those words, what's the point? Okay, that is dangerous because when people start saying, what's the point? They give up on will. You know what I mean? And they don't start seeing forward. Everything is mundane, everything is boring, so there's no point. And this is what depression really does. Well, the interesting thing is, and I'm not saying this happens to absolutely everybody, but this certainly happened to me. It affected my food. Yeah. So the thing is that, you know what? I didn't feel like eating any food. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'd grab a handful of chips, a can of Coke. Well, that's all the energy that my body needed. But there was no nutrition to it. Right? And the problem is when something attacks your food, well, that attacks your level of energy. Right? It's really, really simple. Because if you're not taking food in, well, there's no energy coming back out. So the question that I pose is when you get in a situation like this and you know you have to fight, how the hell do you fight when you don't have any fuel? You don't have any energy. See, the interesting thing is this is when you start to realize that PTSD, depression, anxiety, well, it flanked you 3 months ago. Yeah, that's how sneaky this thing is, right? It's already worn your physical state down. So now that you understand that you have to start fighting back, how do you? Right? You've got no energy. And it's absolutely done a number on your palate, right? So you don't really feel like, oh, my lights went out there. You don't really feel like eating anything. So it's like you can't even refuel yourself. So guys, this is why I do podcasts like this. Because look, if I didn't understand how this worked, I would never try to fix it. Yeah. Now, please understand, when it came to food, it wasn't like I was gagging on the food. Like, oh my God, if I ate something, I threw it back up. No, it wasn't like that. The thing is that I didn't enjoy it. Right? It wasn't fun. Now, here's the interesting thing about not enjoying it. If I don't enjoy my food, do you think I spend a lot of time preparing good food? No. Like I said in the podcast, it's not like I'm glazing a duck in the oven right now. No, because I don't enjoy the food, so who gives a shit? So the problem is when you don't enjoy food, what happens is you go to convenience. Yeah, you go to something that's quick and fast and it tastes good. Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King. Trust me, I've done all this stuff. And my problem is that with the depression, I wasn't hungry, and then all of a sudden I was shaky. Yeah, well, because I hadn't eaten in like 13 hours. Yeah, so the problem is that, you know what, you get to that point and you're so hungry, you're just like, okay, I'll grab a burger and fries. And that keeps you going. And this was the mistake that I kept going with, right? Because the reason is I didn't have any appetite. So with no appetite, I just go towards fast food. And please, fast food is great. I love fast food. But the problem with fast food, there's no nutrition. And when there's no nutrition, there's no energy. And guys, when you don't have any energy, you got zero fight. You can't fight back. And I didn't realize this is how it worked. You know, and even though we haven't talked anything about PTSD, depression, or anxiety here, you start to understand how it can affect your physical state. See, I never thought that a mental injury or any kind of mental disorder could affect you on a physical level. I just didn't see how that worked, right? Because look, let's be honest, if you hurt your knee, okay, it doesn't affect your shoulder, does it, right? And if you affect your wrist, it doesn't affect your hip. But guys, think about it. If you hurt your brain in some way, that can affect absolutely everything. And that's what I didn't take into consideration. I didn't realize how many different levels this battle had. Yeah, I thought just going to a doctor would fix us up, no big deal, and I didn't realize it. But the whole time it was flanking me on so many different sides, not realizing that it was taking all the energy away from me. Because look, I'll tell you what, you talk to anybody who sat through any kind of therapy, and they're exhausted after. Look, forget therapy. Try talking about something that makes you feel uncomfortable. You're tired after. That takes energy. So the problem is that if you're not fueling your body, there's times you won't even feel like going to therapy because you are absolutely exhausted at the end of it, right? Look, we can talk about this PTSD, depression, anxiety, and all that stuff from a mental standpoint, but guys, when people start to realize that this is going after your physical state, this is when I realized that, holy shit, this actually is a war. You know, really simple rule to go by, right? Shit in, shit out. It's really, really simple. The shittier food you eat, the less energy you have. And if you're in a battle like this one, and like I said, you fall into those really, really terrible categories of you don't have access to a doctor, guys, one way to absolutely up your odds in every way about this battle is to give yourself more energy. Yeah, because like I said, even if your brain or whatever is telling you that you shouldn't go outside, guys, if you don't have any energy, there's no way you're going to do it. But I'll tell you what, if you fueled your body with the right food, and I'm not getting into telling you what kind of food you should eat. You guys can research all that stuff, but I think we all understood good food from processed food, right? And when we start eating good food, guys, that's when you start seeing people perk up. And you know, listen, anybody who's suffering from PTSD, depression, or anxiety, I'll tell you what, you feed them really good for 3 weeks. Really. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, good food, and I will absolutely guarantee you that you will see a difference in those people. Because the more energy we have, the more active we can be. And the more active we can be, guys, we can push back against borders. And we all understand this PTSD, depression, anxiety, it's all about pushing borders. And once you understand that, dude, you start ramping up this energy as much as you can, and this is when you can really, really start having a go at it. So guys, how's my time doing? Oh, geez, okay, right on 20 minutes. Not so bad. I don't feel so bad. So look, guys, in tomorrow's episode, what we're going to talk about is a subject that I know nothing about. This should be a really, really good laugh, actually. We're going to talk about self-care. Yes, I know, and I don't mean to get all weird about it, but guys, once again, there's no doubt about that if you look at this self-care, you can up your odds of getting out of this PTSD, depression, or anxiety, because it all goes along with the energy thing. But guys, if you don't look after this meat suit that we're walking around in, guys, we can't ask it to do incredible things. And this was my problem. I didn't look after myself. What a dirty bugger. But anyways, once you do, you really start to see how, well, your body does want to fight. You just have to give it the right tools. So guys, look, before I let you go, I've got a bit of an announcement to make. I got a message on Facebook the other day from a wonderful guy called John Perks. Parks, John Parks. And what he does is he runs an organization in the great state of Kansas. That's where I went and played golf. Yes, I went to Barton County. I was a cougar. It's true. So anyways, in the great state of Kansas, they have this organization called War Horse for Veterans. And what they do is they take, I believe it's 4 to 6 combat veterans. And you know what? They use horses. And you know what? There's a lot of data that proves that, guys, this communication with animals, I've always said this, incredibly, incredibly powerful. So what I'm going to do after this Facebook Live is I'm going to put a link up on the Facebook page there so you guys can check it out. But not only are they looking for combat veterans that want to go to this facility in Kansas, guys, look, if you are somebody who owns a company or know somebody who owns a company that needs to get rid of some tax money, that need to get rid of donating money for tax purposes and whatnot, guys, I can't think of a better organization, honest to goodness. War Horse for Heroes, for Veterans, sorry. I'll put the link up after this Facebook Live. You guys can check that out. So, guys, there you have it. Like I said, I'm going to have a podcast for you tomorrow, and obviously the Facebook Live on Friday night. It's the way I roll. But, guys, there you have it. Really look into this energy thing. The more that you understand it, guys, it's petrol in your tank. Yeah, I'll tell you, the more fuel you've got, the harder you can fight. And guys, I'm not poo-pooing the willpower, but guys, you got to back that willpower up with energy, or the problem is, it just doesn't last as long as we want it to. So guys, there you have it. As always, thank you so much for stopping by. It absolutely means the world to me. I'm going to grab myself a sody pop, and then I'll jump back here in the comment sections. You guys take care of yourself. Thanks so much for stopping by. Take care.